Alex Adams, Maple Heights. Our problem with the intermodal, Norfolk Southern, we have the yard down there. We got about 4 cranes. We got about 4 yard horses, if you know what I'm talking.
Sure.
Then we have about, can't give you an exact number of tractor trailers that come in empty bobtail to pick up the trailers and drop off trailers. In this area, within, say, 3/4 of a mile off the top of my head, you have all this concentration with 4 locomotives. And you know, when they move up 500 feet, the exhaust goes up. Big exhaust, the smoke. Trucks, drivers come in to go to hook up the trailers. They idle for 3-4 minutes, hook up, crank the dollies, pull forward, puff, exhaust fumes. Now we're in this concentrated area. Is there any way to monitor them? You said about the railroad, we have the noise problem with them. We can't get anything done. We ask them to come in and talk to us. We don't get an answer.
The question was the intermodal, and I assume that's Maple Heights? In Maple Heights, the trains, when they get in the staging area, they start up their train. There's a big plume of emissions. Then they move up. They get back in the queue. The train behind, they wait. 5 minutes later, they start up their engines. They move back into the queue. Howard, any suggestions?
I wish I had some suggestions. I think that's an enormous problem. I don't know that you could station inspectors or policemen there all the time, and it's an issue of just the way they do business. But I do think that if there is some will on the part of the company involved in this, that they could probably strive to find ways to do it, to respond to it without, well, I'm listening to your problem, and it's a big problem. I mean, there's no question about it. And other than a voluntary compliance program, which apparently hasn't worked, how hard you come down on them, I don't know that's been working too well either. But if you have some legislation and are willing to put the effort into enforcing it and keep giving them tickets, you're shaking your head.
I have a suggestion. About 2 years ago, I toyed with introducing, and these are interstate commerce issues. They'll say, don't mess with us, we're the federal government. We have every right to move from point A, whether it's in Pennsylvania, to point B, and it's in Iowa. So I introduced hazardous cargo legislation, banning hazardous waste from coming through our city. It got the attention of the railroads real quick. You should introduce legislation regulating them, bring them to the table, convene a meeting, have your mayor initiate it, contact them, and then you invite John McGovern, somebody from NOCCA, to join you. Have the people behind you who can speak as to why this is important, and tell them you're going to put them underneath the microscope. You engage the media, you'll get their attention, and you'll get some results. We're going to take 2 more questions, and then we're going to wind it down back here and then over here.
I just want to refer to the issues that are being discussed. I see that there's a lot of health issues related to this topic, and we focus on the larger vehicles and the trains and so forth. But I think it's a more basic problem that happens in every one of our cities with cars, as they idle in drugstores, at ATM machines, at fast food places, and I think it comes down to having an education program throughout the communities to teach citizens about the hazards so that they can take a voluntary approach to dealing with the problem.
Amy, you want to take a stab at this? I flew into Orlando Airport, as is Danita and several other of our colleagues in the room, for the National League of Cities Conference in November. As soon as you pulled in the drive, the very first sign I saw was a no idling zone. And part of this initiative is that public awareness. Amy, you want to speak about that?
It turns out that John McGovern and I have been meeting with some communities and hearing descriptions just like that. And the one that really broke our hearts was the day they told us there's a Taco Bell with a drive-through and right next door is the daycare. I'm like, no, don't do that to those little kids. And you're absolutely on the right track. It's all about education. The people at the daycare have to go next door to the people at Taco Bell and go, look, I'm really sorry, but you're putting all our little kids at risk. Can we talk about this? And that's absolutely it. It's about education.
There's one other thing, the value of education. There was a time not too long ago when nobody recycled. We all recycle now. There was a time when we didn't use seatbelts. We all use seatbelts now. So things can happen. Things can change. You start with some legislation if you can do it. You start with public education if you can do it. And eventually there's a momentum that takes place. This is not going to be easy. And I keep thinking about that situation that you've been describing. That's probably the worst one yet.